welcome to episode 6 of You Grieving Girl. Today, I'm going to talk to you about being selfish while you're grieving. I am in a place where sometimes I just feel numb or feel like I'm just existing, and I don't always want to talk to someone or spend time with them. I want to preface this talk by saying being selfish in this context is taking care of yourself. And that's not to say you should ignore your significant other, your spouse, or your children. Today, we're going to talk about why it's important to take time for yourself and be selfish. Many people don't realize that when you're grieving, you don't owe someone an explanation. I know for me, I have people who contact me regularly just to check in, but sometimes it's very overwhelming and stressful for me. I think people don't realize that checking up on someone, especially like if they don't respond to them, is not personal, or that person may not be depressed or something like that, because that's always a concern that people have when you're grieving. Sometimes people don't realize that that constant interaction with them is opening a wound for them. I appreciate when people call me or text me and check in, but what I don't appreciate is if I don't respond, the continuous calling or texting. Sometimes you just need a break, and you're not obligated to always respond. That's one thing I learned when my mom passed. I interacted with people even when I wasn't up to it, and it was very frustrating to me. So I made an agreement with myself even before my father passed away that if anything were to happen, I would take better care of myself. And for me, being an introvert, being alone is my superpower, as I like to say. So the constant interactions with people can sometimes be draining for me. And so I've made it a point to take time and be selfish, if we want to say that, and kind of look out for myself. Now, I say that I'm annoyed by like constant interactions with people, but I don't know if it's really annoyance or if it's just, stress with the grief. And that's not to say I don't appreciate it. A lot of people don't have people who care enough to check in on them. So if you are that person, I don't want you to stop checking in on a person. I just want you to be mindful of how you interact with that person, how you react if they don't react in the way that you think they should, and really think about how you can be an ally for them, a good friend, a good family member, a good person for them to lean on. Now, this even applies to my extroverts out there. Being by yourself and taking time to breathe and focus on what's important to you is important. And you might feel differently while you're grieving, and maybe activities that you normally enjoyed might be stressful. They might bring up memories for you. Or if you're like me, you look at the world differently and don't feel obligated to keep up appearances. Don't try to keep up the appearance of being that fun, bubbly, outgoing person. It's okay to not be like that, especially when you're going through a grief, which is really a traumatic experience. So just, it's okay. It's okay. And if you was like my dad, who was an extrovert, all he wanted to do was talk about my mom all the time. And if I got tired and I dealt with my grief in a different way, other people get tired, and then they feel or may not feel like a jerk because they are sick of it, but the person is still fresh for them. And that's why I encourage you to take time to yourself and reflect on however you're feeling. And yes, you can share with someone that you trust, but as time goes on, sometimes you feel like, I don't want to bother someone and I'd rather just take time to myself. And that's okay. Everybody has stress and things in their life, and sometimes you don't want to burden someone else with that issue. Now, I'm encouraging you to be selfish, but I want you to also be careful that you don't spiral into a depression, because those depression and grief kind of go hand in hand sometimes. So in my talk today, I'm talking about actual grief. If you are isolating yourself for weeks at a time, or you can't get out of bed, or you're overly sad, that's something else. And you want to talk to someone you trust or a professional about that. I'm purely just talking about grief, and you're able to do day-to-day things, even though it might be a sad time for you, or frustrated time, or numb side. But I don't want you to be depressed and not deal with that. And you know you, and or someone that loves you, they know you, and they'll let you know if you're acting differently. So I want you to avoid the yes, but, because I know a lot of you are feeling like some of the things I'm saying is pretty crazy. So yes, but, as I call it, is, yes, Nikki, I hear what you're saying, but these people love me. I have to answer the phone. I have to answer or respond to a text message. They want to see me. They want me to check in with them. Yes, Nikki, I understand what you're saying, but my friends and my coworkers are grieving too, and I want to engage with them, and I want them to know that I care. That's fine. That is absolutely fine. But where is that looking out for yourself? Because you can't be a good support to someone if you aren't supporting yourself. And you're correct. Everybody who loved this person that you're missing, they're dealing with something on their own. They're dealing with grief in maybe a different way than you. And when you want to, you can connect with them. But it's also important, I believe, to take some time to process how you're feeling by yourself. And some people may feel hurt. They may assume that you're being standoffish, which you are a little bit. But if they really love you and care for you, they'll understand, hey, they just need a break right now. And they love me, but they're just going through a challenging time. I want you to remember that grief comes in stages, and you don't know what stage you're in or another person may be in. So sometimes I want to talk about my parents and my grandmother and my aunt, and I want to talk about the good times, the bad times, the silly times, and all of that. And other times, I don't want to be bothered. I don't want to think about the fact that they're not here. So that's true for a lot of people. And so I'm fortunate enough that I have people in my life that if they contact me and I don't respond, they're like, okay, she's taking some time to herself. So you need to figure out a way to do that for you. And you're not being standoffish. And I don't want you to feel guilty. Because people can kind of guilt you into talking to them, or, oh, I was just worried about you. And when you get 20 people doing that, it can be overwhelming. So you right now, the only person that you owe is you. Now, again, if you have a spouse or children, you do need to take that into consideration. But you need to focus on you, because even if you have those other people in your life, if you're bogged down because you're not letting your grief play out, in the long run, it's going to be hurtful to them. And for my people who really want to be supportive to people, and they think I'm completely crazy right now, I want you to think about how constantly contacting someone who's not responding, how it can be intruding for them, and it kind of makes them feel obligated to interact with you when they may not be in the headspace, or they might be really frustrated. We know that you love them, and they know that you love them, and they appreciate it, but they don't need that constant intrusion of, oh, how you doing? Hi, I was thinking about you. Hi, I hope you're okay. Hi, I'm gonna just stop by. Hi, I left a note at your door. Like, that's a lot. If you texted or called them, they got it. And when they're ready or up to it, they will respond to you. And just know that just like you're calling and contacting, there may or may not be other people who are doing the same thing. And so when you get that constant barrage of calls and texts, and you just aren't feeling it kind of makes you push away people. So just respect your grieving process and respect the grief of others, and know that no two people will grieve alike, and you have to meet people where they are. And if you completely disregard everything I'm saying, just know that you might unintentionally push someone away, because then they'll say, oh, well, they aren't getting it, or they're not listening to me when I said I just needed some time to myself. And unfortunately, when you're grieving, you may not always see things clearly. So I would just encourage you to tread lightly when checking on someone constantly. And the reason why I'm advocating again for this being selfish is sometimes you just need a break from reality. I don't like to think about the fact that my father and my mom are gone. It is literally a reality for me every day. I think about them every second of every day. And I'm sure many of you probably have or are experiencing this. And it's real. Like, I could be driving the car and I'm thinking about, hey, my dad's gone. I could be making breakfast. Hey, my dad's gone, my mom's gone. And that's constant. And so sometimes I want a break from reality. And just for me personally, when people constantly are checking on me, it reminds me that they know that I'm alone, or that I'm missing these people, and so they want to check in to make sure I'm okay. And it's a reminder to me of my situation constantly. So I hope that put some clarity on it. I need quiet sometimes, and I binge watch a show, or I might read a book, or I might go ride my bike. And I promise you, we are okay. We are just embracing and being okay with the quiet moments in our life, because the grief is so loud that we don't always want to hear it as loudly as grief can be. So, for your Get It Girl guidance for today, I just want you to realize the importance of being selfish, taking time for yourself. For my people who want to help the person that's grieving, just know that worrying constantly about them will solve nothing. And just meet them where they are, because every day when you're grieving is a different moment for you. Every day has its own thing that they're dealing with, and sometimes you can have multiple things happening, or emotions. Like, I might be happy and thinking all the happy moments in my life with my family, and then 5 minutes later I might be crying my eyes out, and then 5 more minutes later I might be angry because my parents are gone. So if I'm going through this, I want you to realize how challenging that can be for someone. And sometimes they don't want to involve other people in that journey. So, with that being said, thank you so much for joining me again today on this journey called grief. Make sure you subscribe. Please share this with anyone that you feel like it might be helpful to. And just remember, we're going through this together, but we got this. And you grieving, girl.